Well, my dear fellow survivor, I'm so honored you're here with me today because today I answer a question that so many survivors have before joining our Music and Heal Me coaching journey. And this question is a question I had myself for many years. The question is, if I keep hitting dead ends and detours and there's always an obstacle on my healing path, how am I supposed to get to the other side and finally be healed? Rightfully so. It's very frustrating to keep encountering roadblocks and obstacles and detours, and it seems like we start from square one, right? But really, we don't. See, the answer lies in not having a rigid mindset that says, hey, healing has to be this way, right? For everybody. If you don't follow these steps in this order, then you're not truly healing. You're not going to get to your destination. Thing is, with this kind of rigid mindset, we don't get to the destination because there is no destination. What I mean by that is the journey is the destination. It sounds cliche, but it's true, right? So when I became a survivor 10 years ago, I kept thinking, I have to get to this destination. I have to heal, right? I have to be fully healed. Thing is, this journey never ends. Now, this doesn't mean that we get to stay in the low energy, low vibration, low frequency mode forever. That's not what I mean by that. I mean that it's a continuous journey, right? The path never ends. So when I realized that, well, instead of having this fixed mindset that looked at healing in one particular way, right? It has to be sequential. It has to be like this, right? Stages of grief, whatever that lens might be, whatever that framework might be that kept me kind of stuck really within the confines of that box of whatever framework I was looking at, at that time. Instead of staying stuck there with a rigid mindset, I said, well, if I apply a flexible mindset, right? And I realized, like I said, that the journey is not the destination. Sorry, that the journey is actually the destination. That's the thing, right? Every single day for the rest of my life, I'm healing, right? For example, some people might say, well, John, it's been 10 years since you became a survivor. Why are you still talking to your soul angels as much as you did, day one? Because it's my own way of healing, right? I will never stop talking to my two soul angels and, sharing and receiving insights and everything that's healing. It might not look like the healing path for some other survivor. Another survivor might find it more helpful to not have those discussions with their soul angel or angels, right? But for me, that's not my healing path. So what I'm saying here is that instead of confining yourself within the limits of a certain healing path that you might be on, right? You might be following whatever framework you have in mind, right? Very rigidly. Well, break free from those shackles and experiment with different paths, because many roads lead to healing, right? There's just not just one, right? And then create your own path of healing, right? That's what I had to do for myself, and that's what I help survivors do. What works for me might not be exactly the same thing that works for another survivor, and vice versa, right? So experiment, go through those detours, those dead ends, learn from them, and create your own next step on your path, right? Rather than rigidly trying to go one way, just think, actually, there's many ways to get to where I want to go, right? Why don't I experiment with each one and see which one actually leads me there more efficiently and with less pain and more love and joy. So, my dear fellow survivor, Stop thinking so rigidly, right? Become flexible and realize that, like I said, the journey is really the destination. And that way you're not going to be feeling, well, I'm never getting to my destination, right? Because there is no destination. The journey is the destination. My dear fellow survivor, I say this with all my heart. Please take good care of yourself and may you be filled with music and heal.